Once you have text in your score, you can move it around on the score page. You can click and drag any text or other object with your mouse. However, it's generally best to avoid dragging anything around in Sibelius because objects usually have a very specific attachment point that shouldn't be disrupted. If you've used the correct text style and if you've inputted it properly, using the techniques and suggestions I've provided to you, the text should position itself so that it doesn't need any additional adjustment. So if you've made any adjustments with your mouse just now, like if you've dragged any of these text styles around a little bit, go ahead and undo Command-Z to get them back to their original positions. Remember that if score objects are colliding on your screen, you may be able to use magnetic layout to avoid some of those collisions. I actually have magnetic layout turned on in my score, and you'll be able to see how much it's helping me if you go to the Layout tab, to the Magnetic Layout group, and turn magnetic layout off. So I've got a few collisions here. I've got a mezzo piano colliding with a slur here, as well as here, and even over here. And if I turn magnetic layout back on by pressing the button in the ribbon, you'll see a lot of objects moving away from one another. So I'm going to make sure I leave magnetic layout turned on for now. If it's gold in the ribbon, then that means it's turned on. If you still need to make minor adjustments to a text position, a better option than dragging the text with your mouse is using your arrow keys to move the object up, left, down, or right. Let's take a look at this pizzicato marking right here. If I want to move this a little bit to the left and maybe a little bit down, I can select it, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see this better. And I can use my arrow key to the left and down. You can also use your right or up arrow. And if you want to move the text by a little more of an increment, you can use Command does more. So hold Command and use your arrow key, and it'll move a little further. But beware, because you can see that this is now attached. There's a little attachment line. It's now attached to this rest rather than to this note. So I've moved it a little too far. I'm going to use my right arrow until it pops back over and connects back to the proper note, and escape when you're done. Any text that you input can also be edited and re-edited in Sibelius. To edit text, simply double-click on the existing text. I'm going to give my composition a new title. So I'm going to use the Home key and the Page Up key to get up here to my title. And double-clicking on a text object will reveal a flashing cursor. So I'm going to double-click on my title. And when you see the flashing cursor, you'll be able to select, correct, delete, or retype the text as if it were in a word processing application. In honor of my experience recording this course, my new title is going to be Hot Tea and Coffee After 3. When you're done making corrections, escape. And you can escape a second time so that your text style is no longer selected. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here because I also need to adjust my composer name. So I'm going to double-click on that, delete what's there, and type in my name. I recommend 2 spaces after your composer name to get it right off the margin. And escape twice. You also have the ability in Sibelius to edit the properties of a text style locally and globally. By properties, I mean things like the font, the size of the font, whether it's bold or italic, and things of that nature. If you affect an object locally in Sibelius, you're only affecting that one instance of that object in the score. If you affect an object globally in Sibelius, you're changing its stored attributes, and every existing or future instance of that object within your score will be affected by those changes. Text properties can be locally edited using features found in the ribbon at the Text tab, Format group. So if you select an individual text object in the score, let's go ahead and select this mezzo piano here in the flute, then you'll be able to adjust its properties up here in the Format group. And you'll be editing the properties of just that one selected piece of text that's in the score without affecting others just like it. So if I increase the size of this particular selected dynamic, I'm going to go ahead and increase its size here. I'm making a local change of just that one dynamic. Now if I input a new expression text in the score, it will be completely unaffected by that local change that I made there. Text style properties are globally adjusted in the Edit Text Styles window, which can be accessed from the Dialog Launcher button at the Text tab, Styles group. Here's the Styles group. There's the Dialog Launcher button. Go ahead and click that. If you make any global changes to a text style, it will affect every appearance of that text style in your score. So if I wanted all of my expression markings to be larger throughout my entire score, I could go into here, go to the expression text, edit it, change any of its properties, including its size, click OK, and now all of my expressions will be larger. And any expression that I input from this point forward will also be that larger size. You can also adjust the global positioning of text objects in Sibelius. When you move a text object, either with your mouse, hopefully not, or with the arrow keys, you are making a local change to that one object's position. The next object that you input of the same type will appear at the text style's original default position relative to the note or bar it's attached to. To best see this, I need to turn Magnetic Layout off temporarily. So I'm going to go up to the Layout menu and turn Magnetic Layout off. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit to find a good spot to do this. Here we go. So you can see that this mezzo piano's default location is this far down from the staff. If I was to input another dynamic here, it would be the exact same distance down from the staff. But what if I wanted to adjust these just a little bit further down? If I move one of them, I'm not moving all of them. And if I input another one, it's going to be up here, not down here. The default location properties for objects like text styles are found in the Default Positions window, which can be accessed from the Dialog Launcher button at the Appearance tab, Design and Position group. Here's the Dialog Launcher, and these are our default positions. So from here, I have text styles selected. I could go to expression marks, and then I can change their vertical and horizontal position relative to the staff. Now, I'm not going to make any changes to my default positions right now. I just wanted you to be aware of where you can go to make those changes if you'd like to. Now, looking ahead, take into consideration that all of these default settings are part of your score's house style. In the long run, adjusting the default settings for text and other objects so that you never have to locally adjust any appearance of them in your score is a much faster way to work than making a lot of repeat local changes. Additionally, once you establish a house style that works perfectly for you, you'll be able to import it into every score that you work with in Sibelius, eventually not having to adjust much of anything at all. Your score will look exactly like you want it to without any adjustments.